This is Happily Holistic, where we dive deeply into everything health and wellness with a big dash of spirituality and a sprinkle of business. We spotlight the uplifting and the positive and share the secret ways top wellness authors and celebrities get inspired, stay healthy, and enjoy this beautiful life. I'm your host, Amy Lee Mercury, best-selling author of 15 books and holistic health expert for the last 19 years. I can't wait to get happily holistic with you today. Hello, and welcome to Happily Holistic. I am so excited to have one of my good friends and colleagues for many years, Tammy Mastroberte, here with me today.
Hi, Amy. Yay! I'm so excited to be here with you.
Yay! Tammy is the founder of Elevated Existence, LLC, and her magazine, Elevated Existence, is a Clarion and Folio award-winning magazine. And I met Tammy back when my first book, The Spiritual Girl's Guide to Dating, came out in 2012, and I wrote a spiritual dating column for you for like a year or two, I think, a while.
Oh my gosh, that was years ago, yes.
That was 8 years ago.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy. It's crazy to think that I've been doing this that long. It doesn't feel like it.
Me too. Exactly. So, no, I mean, I think we both kind of met each other kind of earlier in our careers, and here we are, this far down the line. Kind of cool. So Tammy hosts online workshops. She has YouTube videos. She teaches all kinds of body, mind, spirit topics. Especially taming the chaos is one of her specialties, and opening up to signs and synchronicities from the universe and loved ones on the other side. So she teaches a lot of really exciting, fun, useful things. Tammy was a featured expert in the films Dream Big and The Truth About Prosperity. And she's been a guest on many radio shows, including Awakenings and The Suzanne Northrup Show. Tammy's website is tammymastroberte.com, and her Instagram is Elevated Tammy. So I'm so excited that we get to share your message, Tammy. And the thing I'm super excited about is Tammy's book, The Universe is Talking to You, is out now. And so you can order it, you can read it, and I've been really excited to get to hear about its evolution this last year. And the book baby has been born.
Yes, it's been awesome. It's been such an awesome process for me. I've been teaching it for so long, so now to have it all in one little compact book or audio book or whatever is amazing.
Yes. And so tell me how did this book evolve when you conceived the idea and you decided to write it? How did that happen for you?
It started years ago where I knew I wanted to write a book. I just wasn't sure what topic to focus on. There were so many different topics.
Yes.
And it took me a few years where I sort of started back in 2015. I think I started teaching on signs, and actually it was 2013. I started teaching about signs and synchronicity and sharing with people my story about how I lost my mother when I was 22, suddenly from a brain aneurysm. And I just started really teaching more about it and getting an amazing reaction from people about the teachings, because it wasn't just about like, hey, here are the cool signs and synchronicities that are happening to me, but it was more about, here's how it's showing up, here's what you should pay attention to, here's how to start noticing it yourself. So people got really excited about it. And then I thought, okay, well, maybe this is what I should be focused on. Now, other things have branched on, like you mentioned, taming the chaos, because that's a huge piece even of signs and synchronicity. But I just thought the amazing response that I get from people who maybe have never received a sign or don't realize they can get signs from the universe, their angels, their guides, loved ones on the other side. It's happening to us all the time. We're getting these messages all the time. But when I started hearing from people saying, oh my gosh, I did what you said and it's working, I started thinking, okay, I need to really take everything that I know, put it into a system, and then that system eventually became the book.
Wow. I love that.
Yeah.
So it's been a lifelong journey, really.
Yes, it really has. I mean, for me, it started over 20 years ago, really, when my
Yeah.
mother passed away. And it was just one thing that led me to the next thing, that led me to the next thing. 8 years after she died, I started the magazine, where I thought I was really just going to do the magazine because I was in the magazine industry. I was a writer. That was my thing. I was an editor.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to get this stuff, these teachings out there that was helping me.
Yes.
No idea I was going to evolve into starting to teach myself and then move into actually doing this book. Like, none of that was in my mind when my mother passed away 20 years ago, but the universe knows what we're meant to do. The universe knows where we're meant to go, and it's constantly guiding us, directing us, and rerouting us if we head the wrong way. And so that's what's so exciting and amazing to me. And when we can start tuning into that, everything changes in our life. Everything changes in the way we look at life.
Absolutely. And in the way that we see the flow of life happening. Our point of view is really the critical thing, the way that we choose to view the flow of life. And when we open up to what Tammy's teaching us, we get to view things with a different set of lenses.
Yes.
Don't you think?
And by viewing it differently, you find that things that happen to you, disappointments, wanting to get something and not being able to, maybe it'll be a job or something like that, something through. Whatever sort of upsets you or disappoints you or, brings you down, you sort of find you don't stay down as long when you sort of change your mindset, because you realize everything's happening for a reason. Everything is leading me somewhere that I'm meant to go. I actually teach an exercise in the book called Follow the Footsteps, where I teach people to go back and find this proof in their own life. Because when you realize how guided you have been, you have more faith that no matter what bottom drops out of your life, you know that you're going to be guided and you're going to be okay. And that's everything. I always say it provides like a little bit of certainty amidst the uncertainty that we all face at all times.
Absolutely. And, we're coming through an uncertain year here, 2020 too.
Yes. Yes.
And you talk a lot about taming the chaos. I mean, we need your teachings more than ever. Yeah. So what are some tools you would share with us right now around taming the chaos? I mean, we're not only are we experiencing global shifts and global movement, but also I think a lot of us are feeling some inner chaos. It's very triggering to feel fear, to feel anxiety, to have all of these routines disrupted in our society and what's been happening in 2020.
Yes.
So what would you share?
Well, first, I the way I look at chaos is I feel like there's two types of chaos. There's, like you said, the internal chaos, right? That we have about ourselves, our own thoughts, our own emotions, our own fears, our own day-to-day self-talk.
Yeah.
And then there's external chaos that we take on, whether that be the people that we're living with, whether that be the people we're working with, wherever we might go, whether we think that we're empathic or not, you're taking on energy. And if you're not protecting yourself.
Yeah.
And with things going globally and social media and news, I mean, we literally can take on chaos from around the globe. It's not even just in our world anymore. So it's more important now than ever, not just to so that you can open up to signs and synchronicities, because the thing is, with chaos, the signs are happening in the present moment. And when you're in chaos, you're not in the present moment. You are freaking out about what's going on, worried about the future, worried about something that happened yesterday, dealing with this fire and then this fire, and you're all over the place. But it's not just about signs and synchronicity. Chaos affects every area. It affects our health. It affects what we're bringing into our life, what we're manifesting and bringing into our life. So many areas. And I actually have a whole chapter on taming the chaos in the book before I even get to my 5-step process that I teach people, because if you don't tame the chaos, it's going to be almost impossible to see the signs
Yes.
and to see what's going on. The fastest and easiest way that I tell people, because I'm all about like 1 to 3 minute exercises, because we're busy and we're crazy and we're distracted.
Yes.
But the fastest way, I call it my 60-second retreat or reset break. So what I tell people to do is, if you can, set an alarm on your phone to do it a couple of times a day. If you want, you can do it at least 3 times a day, I say. So like in the morning, maybe on your, when you get back in your car on your way home from work, and on your lunch break at least. But especially this can be a tool that you can use as all of a sudden you feel overwhelmed and you're like, I just need a reset. All you do is close your eyes, take a deep breath in and out. And I like to repeat one of 2 mantras, depending on what feels good to you. So just for 60 seconds, just repeat either the word release, and you're kind of just releasing all of the stress and all of the drama. So you just repeat release for 60 seconds. Or another one I like to say is all is well, I am safe. All is well, I am safe. And you just do this for 60 seconds. By the end of the 60 seconds, you are in a different mindset because you have shifted your focus right back to the now. You have released whatever might be going on with you. And then you can shift back in. And you'll notice when you go back to whatever it was that you were doing, you're in a different space. And it only took 60 seconds. So that's the fastest, easiest, take anywhere with you tool that I can offer.
I love it. And I love how it's really actionable and really quick because like you said, I've always had a short attention span personally because of ADHD, but it's worse now because of all the phone and the social media and it's constantly being connected.
Oh, absolutely. Definitely. And that's why, like, I know we're busy, whether it's that you have kids, whether it's that you have your own business or you have responsibilities. We all have a million different things going on. And so for me, when I first started, it was like, maybe I don't have 20 minutes or 40 minutes a day and meditate, or maybe I don't, and that's great. But what do I do during the day? Because even if you do sit, and I do, even if you do sit for the 20 minutes to meditate, what happens when something triggers you throughout the day? So this is like literally something you can just take with you and you can just do it really fast. If you're at work, go run into the stall in the bathroom and just do it really fast and then go back to what you're doing. And nobody has to know. You can sit in the car before you go into the grocery store, do it for 60 seconds and then do what you're doing. It's such an easy take with you tool.
It's daily energetic maintenance too.
Yes, totally.
Mental and emotional maintenance as well. Because it's our mind, our emotions, things get stirred up. And here's how to tame it down. And like you said, that's what opens the space to see these signs and synchronicities, right?
Yes. Oh, yes. Yeah. I mean, can you imagine if if you're someone who has like maybe even just 2 kids or even 1 kid, and you're running around and you're rushing to work. There are people who, and I used to be like this from the moment I got up after I snoozed the alarm 12 times. This is back in the days when I was working in New York City. I would just finally fly out of bed and then I'd be rushing around to get to the train and then rushing to work and then doing my work and rushing home and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, it's in this constant swirl. Like, how are you going to notice a sign from your mother from the other side? Or a sign that the universe has repeated the same book to you 5 times and you're just not paying attention to it? So you can't see it. You totally can't see it. So that's the first piece of everything, is to just tame the chaos down so that you're spending a little more time in the present moment and that your vibration is a little bit higher. And
then you can notice the signs that are there.
Yes.
And perhaps attract more as well because of your vibration.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
As part of the, so after taming the chaos, there's a 5-step process I walk people through. One of the steps is raising and maintaining your vibration, because these subtle signs are happening at a higher vibration.
Right.
So you can get yourself up and stay up. And those 60-second breaks are not just about taming the chaos. You're raising your vibration in those moments. Also. The more likely you'll be able to see signs. I always say, when you talk to, and you know this, I'm sure, when you talk to psychics or mediums, they always tell you, I have to raise my vibration. And then the other side, or whomever I'm communicating with, has to lower theirs a little bit so that we can meet in the middle. If you're not doing your part, it's easier to miss the signs as well.
Yes. Hence why I'm a medical intuitive who lives in nature and is very, very sometimes militant about my vibratory frequency in my environment.
Yes.
To
Yes.
do my work, to talk to people's spirit guides all week,
Mm-hmm.
I have to.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And what's funny about that is that, yes, in your work, 100%. And I think sometimes people think, well, I don't do that work, but it's like, but I promise you, it's affecting you too. It's affecting you too.
Yes.
And the more you do the work, like you said, the more you take these little breaks, the more that you tame the chaos in your life and raise your vibration, the faster you're going to notice when you're out of it.
Yes.
And then you can bring, and then you'll realize, oh my gosh, now I know what Tammy and Amy are talking about.
Yes, that's right.
They feel this is so important because I feel the difference. That's the biggest thing.
That's huge. I feel it. And when I do, I get very like, wait, how did this happen? Like I have to sort of sleuth out what did I miss, or what could I do to optimize this? Well, like I said, because if that's my work, and part of what I say to my clients is anybody can do this work. Anybody, everybody has the propensity to be intuitive.
Yes.
It's just like anything else. If you want to learn Spanish, you have to learn, you take a Spanish class, or you read books on how to speak Spanish if it's not your native language. Anybody can do this.
Yes.
But the tools that you're offering are some of the key tools that help you be able to do it.
Yes. And what I think is important is that, I mean, I started getting signs from my mother in my 20s after she passed. And I had not at this point ever worked to open any type of intuition. I am not a practicing psychic or medium, right? So I always say to people, like, you don't have to say, well, I'm not intuitive, or I'm just not open, or I'm just not. I'm telling you, you can do it. We can all do it. It's just
everyone can.
Nobody has taught you how to listen to the universe. And that's what I'm trying to do, is that you just have to be taught how to listen. And once you realize these little shifts that you can make, all of a sudden everything starts flowing in.
Yes. Intuition is a natural ability. I consider it a sense comparable to touch, or, a subtle sense for sure, not as, super obvious as I see this in front of me, or I hear this because there's a sound in my environment. A subtle sense that everybody has access to, and everybody is taking in the input from all of their senses, including their extra senses, in my opinion, all the time. And that's why people sometimes do get extra triggered by chaos and things like that, because they're taking that in. And so what you're doing to help them tame it and raise their vibration is an effective tool to also choose what you look at. You wouldn't or listen to, from a sense perspective, you wouldn't listen to really discordant, not sounding good stuff. You would choose what you listen to if you wanted to, raise your vibration or enjoy life. It's the same with your intuition. And so as people raise their vibration, like you teach, then they're going to attract more of the same. And so it's another way that you magnify your intuition, by coming back around to keeping your vibration really high. Essential.
And then once you start doing some of these small, simple tools, once you start doing some of this stuff, you'll start seeing the changes.
Yes.
The more you start opening yourself up, and again, it's easy. It's not like difficult work. It's actually easier than learning Spanish, right?
Yes, it is easier.
Yes.
Unless you have a super ear for languages, I guess. But, for most of us, much easier than learning Spanish.
So once you start opening and you start seeing the sign, like one or two signs, you're like, oh my gosh. And then it's like everything cracks open. And the more you acknowledge, the more you're going to get, because now, especially your loved ones on the other side, they're going to be celebrating that you're finally getting what they're trying to send to you.
Yes, that's what happens in so many sessions, Actually, too, that's what happens in the Meet Your Guides class I teach, and the shamanism classes I teach. The guides are so thrilled that they can finally communicate with people. They're waiting, they're celebrating. They've been waiting so long to be able to get to consciously guide people. And so with these signs and synchronicities, that's what that's coming from, right? Is that how you think of it?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, our signs and synchronicities come from our angels, they come from our guides, they come from the universe itself.
Yes.
You know, and I always say, like, one of the things that I teach is that you can start assigning signs. So let's say you love to pray to Archangel Michael for protection or Archangel Raphael for healing. You can give your guides or your angels or certain loved ones specific signs to use with you. And then, yes, because, and the reason I started teaching that is because years ago, I used to get a bunch of signs all the time from my mother, and people would always say to me, "You're so lucky. I don't ever hear from anybody. I can't believe it. You're so lucky your mother's communicating."
Yes.
And I remember thinking, like, how can I be that lucky? There must be something weird going on here.
Right.
And that's when I started realizing, oh my gosh, no, we're all getting these signs, right? So how can I help people open up to it? And then I was interviewing a medium, Rebecca Rosen, once, and she was talking to me about her husband and how he had assigned a number connected to his birth date. And I said, oh, that's so funny. I said, my mother uses her birth date with me. And then a light bulb went off in my head, and I said, oh my gosh, I have been not even realizing that I'm assigning signs to her, because when I see her birth date, which happens to be May 9th, I would see her birth date like 0509, and I'd go, oh, my mother's around. So she was like, oh, she got my birth date. I'm going to use that again, right?
Yes.
And same thing with her name. So the thing is, I was almost inadvertently assigning her signs, and it hit me. And I'm like, this is what people need to do.
Yes.
I need to help. And so that's one of the exercises I share is just, you know, choose a sign and turn it over to them and ask them to use it. Ask them to use it within the next 24 to 48 hours. People lose their minds with that because they're like, I can't believe, you know, one guy I'll never forget told me he had never received a sign from his daughter who passed away. And then he did this exercise and got 3 signs from her in one day. And he was like, this is incredible.
Wow.
So it's literally like opening the door. Now, that doesn't mean they're not going to use other signs with you, you know, but that sort of just cracks open the door to, okay, here's one of the ways that I know they'll communicate with me. And they understand it, and I understand it. And you can do this with Archangel Michael. You can do it with Raphael, etc. Where it's just, to me, it's opening up the lines of communication.
Absolutely. And I love how you're taking the spiritual and really bringing it into the real world.
Yes.
You know, in a really practical manner that's usable.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, that's one of the principles of shamanism that I teach, is when we journey into alternate reality shamanically, we're not just doing it for fun. I mean, it can be fun, but we're doing it to bring back healing and information. It's not a novel process to be toyed with. It's to bring it back here so we can increase our quality of life. And that's exactly how you've created this. It's really useful. I think it's a really big service to offer too.
Oh, thank you. I think I've always just been a very practical, sort of down to earth person. So when I was creating these things for other people, I'm like, okay, what's working for me? What do I like to use? And I'm a Virgo, so I'm practical.
So am I.
Yeah. So I'm practical, and I'm like, you know, how can I do this quickly? And what can I, you know, how can this make sense to me? Everything always has to make sense. So that's how I created a lot of my practices and a lot of the quick techniques that I teach people, because it has to be fun, and it has to be easy, and it has to work, or I won't do it. That's just how I am.
Me too.
Yes.
Me too. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
I love all these tips you've shared with us.
Oh, thanks.
It's so nice. At the end of each episode of Happily Holistic, I ask you guys this particular question, and I get to ask you now.
Okay.
If you could give your 16-year-old self one message, what would it be from the future?
Oh, if I could give my 16-year-old self one message, I think it would be to hang on, trust the universe, and that everything is going to work out even when it doesn't look like it.
I love that.
Yes.
I love that. I wonder what your, I don't know, 75-year-old self would tell you now.
I know, right? That would be a good one. I'd love to know what she would.
I know.
Probably the same thing. Like,
girl, I kind of think so.
Yeah, you're gonna be fine. Just
don't worry so much or whatever.
Exactly. Have fun. It's all temporary.
Yes. Thank you so much for being here, Tammy. I'm so glad you got to be here.
Thank you for having me. It's been so much fun.
Yes, as always. And thank you all for listening. I hope you enjoyed Happily Holistic today. And you can go find Tammy at her website, tammymastroberte.com. And she's on Instagram as Elevated Tammy. And we will see you next time. Thanks for listening to Happily Holistic with me, Amy Lee Mercury. You can find out more about the show on amyleemercury.com on the podcast page. Please stop by your favorite social platform and leave me a comment. I'd love to hear how you liked today's show and what topics you'd like me to cover in the future. Come find me on Instagram and Facebook at Amy Lee Mercury. Until next time, stay happily holistic.